All right, today once again mixing for the Hindley Street Country Club, biggest and greatest cover band in the world. Link in the description for the final video of this mix. Somebody mentioned in the comments they'd like to see the vocal chain. I figured that was easy to get myself back making some content here. So the vocal chain, I'll go over that. Here's a second. You can listen to the final mix right here. All right, so vocal chain. First thing I'll do is bypass everything on the master bus, so when we hear things with nothing, it's really with nothing. So just to hear the difference when I bypass that. I can go over this later in the video, actually. Maybe. So there's nothing on the master bus there. Now let's go to the vocal and see what I did. Now I don't have a formula, but I do have a go-to plugins that I tend to use, but it's not always the same at all. So let's see what we did here. Lots of plugins. Pretty much each one is doing small amounts of things. When you're down at your friends, so if I bypass, turn off the effects. We got you down on your knees, so polite. So there's the raw vocal with nothing on it. Up kids, we got the dreamer's disease. So the first thing I put on, and this is to get rid of some of the bleed into the mic from the rest of the band, mainly the drums. So this doesn't completely remove it. It's not like an AI where I could completely remove it, but you lose something when you do that. So when it's not that bad, I'll tend to use this, and we'll turn that on. Edge 14, now. We got you down on your knees, so polite. We're busy still saying please. So it can completely get rid of the drums, but if you kind of split the difference, then it doesn't mess up the vocal tone as much. So just to have that on first. Next thing I put is a compressor in parallel at 40%. So it looks like it's compressing a lot, but keep that in mind. It's only at 40% on the mix knob. Friend, now missing when you're down at your friends. Every night we're smashing. It's really catching, you see 3 to 5 dB again blended, so it's not completely that much reduction. And it's really catching, especially on these dynamic mics. They're very dynamic. And the beginning of words and some of the harsher syllables are really going to jump in level. So I put this first to tame things a little bit. It doesn't really sound compressed. This compressor is pretty good at just leveling things out in a pretty transparent way. Smashing Mercedes Benz first we run. The next thing is the multi-band compressor or dynamic EQ, same thing. And to have this second in the chain after that, it's getting fed a more even signal because I put that other compressor first. So normally when I put this on, I'm listening and looking at the frequencies that are really popping out. It depends on the key. It depends on the range of the singer, right? All that stuff. And I'm looking at some of the areas that may pop out a bit much and that need taming. So we have the multi-band gain reduction here. We run and then we laugh till we cry. So you can notice on different notes, different frequencies are getting reduced to even things out here. We're busy still saying please. So when he goes low in range, we get rid of the mud, we get rid of the boominess, right? We're here. Some of the mid to higher range notes are going to get gain reduction on their own, and that will be left without reduction down at the low end, right? So smoothing things out. Friend, now missing when you're down at your friends. Every night we're smashing. It's bypass, so let's turn it on. Smashing Mercedes Benz first we run and then we laugh till we cry. And a lot of people are getting into like soothe, and it's sort of the trend in plugins to have this done automatically with resonance suppressors and stuff. I'm old school. And that doesn't seem to do much of give much of a change in the sound, but all these things will add up. Next in the chain, I have this, not doing much. I'm getting rid of everything below 100. Touch of saturation and high-end shelf. That's it. Oh, de-esser. So let's...
But women not polite, we're busy still saying please.
Let's see what it's doing.
Friend, not missing when you're down at your friends.
Okay, so you see the de-esser and a tiny bit of gain reduction. It's just catching some of the peaks, not doing much.
Every night we're smashing
This is mainly for the high shelf and the touch of de-essing, because I do that a few times in the chain, the de-essing.
Mercedes-Benz, first we run.
Now this plugin I just discovered maybe 6 months ago, the Noveltech Vocal Enhancer. It looks like an old plugin. It comes with the Plugin Alliance bundle. Man, this thing is good. You ready? You ready? You ready? Here we go.
Friend, not missing when you're down at your friends.
Nice.
Every night we're smashing Mercedes-Benz. First we run and then we laugh till we cry.
I'll overdo it so you can see. You can hear it.
Friend, not missing when you're down at your friends. Every night we're smashing Mercedes-Benz. First we run and then...
It goes from a dynamic mic to a condenser studio mic, right? Amazing. Next thing I have is this. That first compressor was free. This one also free. Free can be good. Sometimes this is available for free. This gives a little bit of grit. I don't know what caused me to use this on the vocal in this mix, but it worked.
And then we laugh till we cry.
So now we're starting to sound smoothed out, right? Let's see.
Is it still saying please?
It's about 1 dB there.
Friend, not missing when you're down at your friends.
Notice nothing has a quick attack. 36 milliseconds, right? I'm not squashing the transients. It's fairly quick, but it's not too quick. The same here. I'm not going fast on the attack. Next we have this, which I almost always put on a vocal. It's really good that those spin around because it makes it sound better, right? So here is, there's a bit of high frequency boost here, and whatever a tape sim does, a little saturation.
Polite, we're busy still saying please.
A little more polished, right?
Friend, not missing when you're down.
Next thing is a de-esser. Ooh, this is a free one again. I swear I can afford plugins, but the free ones, sometimes these people do it for the love of it, right? Analog obsession. So just a de-esser here.
And you're down at your friends. Every night we're smashing Mercedes-Benz. First.
At this point, I'm pretty much listening to it in the mix and saying, okay, what else does it need? And we have an EQ here, which the main thing it's doing is giving a little more beef back in the lows, which I don't mind not really having enough low end as I'm going through the beginning of the chain and then bringing some back later, because the compressors just tend to behave better when the vocal doesn't have a lot of low end. The boominess of low notes doesn't cause a sudden spike in reduction. Also here, just cutting a little, very slight on the high mids, and this boost here, again, with dynamic mics, as I say, you do get a drop off in high frequencies. And now that we've added some saturation, there's content up there. So when you boost, you're actually getting something. If I did this in the beginning of the chain, you wouldn't hear it as much. But if you're putting things through saturation, right, you're giving yourself, typically you could look on your analyzer and see that you're actually creating harmonic content, especially if it's like lower bit recordings that don't have content up there. So anyway, now we're boosting it to make up for the roll-off in the mic.
First we run and then we laugh till we cry.
It's sounding more like a studio mic than a live mic, and that's really the goal with that sort of EQ. Then you have, I ended up, again, these later plugins are just listening to it in the mix. What does it need? One more multi-band. So we have high, mids, and lows, just separated into 3. There's your crossover points. Again, a bit of reduction.
You're down on your knees, so polite.
It's like 1
We're
dB.
busy still saying please.
And that can act, again, as a de-esser, and then this catching the mids, and this catching the boomy lows, and compressing that separately.
Friend, not missing when you're down at your friends.
That's it. And a limiter.
Friends. Every night we're smashing Mercedes Benz. First we run and then we left.
And that's doing 1 to 2 dB on the words that really pop out. Some of the transients that were a bit too much. So there it is. That's the vocal chain. Then I put some effects.
We laugh till we cry.
Echo, a reverb, and a stereo. This thing, which makes anything in stereo. It's really good at it too. I don't normally put that on a vocal, but, you know, whatever sounds good. It doesn't sound in stereo in the mix, but it does have a drop of that. I've been setting that up lately in my mixes and just sending things there. It could be a mono keyboard track that needs to be wider. So that's it for the vocals there. And here's the final, with nothing on the master bus, the final sound.
We're busy still saying please.
Now, I said I would show my master bus processing, so here it is. First thing, I've shown this stuff before. I'll go through it quickly. This is a compressor blended in at 20% on the dry wet, so it's not doing too much there. First thing there. Next thing in the master bus chain, a little bit of EQ. Again, no formula. I'm listening to it saying it needs a bit of boost, needs a bit of cut, needs a bit of boost high end. And if I have to do too much here, I just go fix it in the mix. There is something to doing EQ on the master bus as opposed to individually on the tracks. And I was thinking about the other day, why do I like the sound for particular uses, for a particular goal of the EQ on the master bus when I could just go to individual tracks and say, okay, well, if we need more high end, I could just boost the cymbals, make them brighter, make the vocal brighter, and the acoustic guitar, give it some top end air, right? And then I wouldn't have to do this necessarily, right? But you know what? Changing EQ is changing phase. So when you do it on the master bus, you're changing the phase uniformly of that frequency. So that means the relationship within the mix is not changing, right? It's like if you change the brightness of your television, right? It's changing the whole thing. You're not changing certain elements. And it's not creating an imbalance within the mix phase-wise if you're happy with that, right? So depends what you're going for. Typically that polish towards the end, you can get something nice off of doing it on the master bus. For a while I was against it, saying, no, you got to fix it in the mix. Certain things for certain sounds, you do maintain the true phase of interrelationship of phase between the instruments in the mix if you do an EQ move on the master bus, right? True. So everything gets boosted the same. So there's really no difference phase-wise between them. Next we have a bus compressor. Wow, I really did that? Oh my gosh. It's like 4 to 5 dB reduction. But the mix knob is at 39 in my defense. Holy shit. I guess I liked it. With an auto release? Oh, I almost never do this. Okay. So the auto release is, as you know, with like the SSL bus compressors, auto is a 2-stage. So you have once you get above 3 or 4 dB, that's kind of where it really begins. Below that is just this very slow release. It's not doing too much during the mix. But I think I did this just to really keep that sound in your face and keep it full. So anytime it drops in level, really brings it up. Again, it's mixed in at 39% on the parallel. But wow, ratio 4. I usually don't do this. Here we go. Bypass. You know, listening to the original, it may have been kind of pretty compressed, and I do sort of try to emulate certain things. Wow, that's a surprise. Next thing, mid-side EQ. This is really nice on the master bus. Again, comes with the plug-in alliance stuff. And basically, I'm doing 1 dB, 1 dB, 2 dB of, you know, little this and that. I could talk about this later. It's a whole thing to get into. Talk about messing with phase, mid-side EQ. But here it is. I'll turn it on. Oh, that's nice. Bypass. Okay, and to finish off quickly, another multiband. Barely doing anything, just catching some peaks. And then a clipper and a limiter. My clipper doing 1, 1.5, 2 at the most, occasionally reduction. That's a little more than I usually do, but it's not a formula, whatever works. All right, so there it is. We showed the vocal chain and the mix master bus. All right, so more videos coming. Make sure you're sub. Somebody asked me to do Isn't She Lovely and go over the mix that I did with HSCC on that. So maybe I'll do that on the next video. Make sure you're subbed and notifications to check it out. And generally other content. I'm getting busy again. See you soon. Thanks for watching.